Yeah.
Great. Useless
Yeah.
bastard rodent.
Setting up for YouTube, so we may.
What a
This
show
thing?
title right there. Bastard rodent.
No, I
Yeah.
called it. I called it Groundhogs Are Stupid.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, I got. Yeah, we got. There we. Hey, sweet. And I definitely don't want to watch me watching. That's trippy.
Yeah. Watching yourself
but-
is trippy, isn't it?
Where did that go though? God, yeah.
So you know what they call groundhogs in BC, right?
Oh shit, that turned on that one.
Liquor pigs.
Liquor
No,
pigs.
We have
That's just what we
marmots
call your
in
mom.
BC. That's the groundhogs we have in BC are marmots. Except maybe
That's
down
true.
on the island they might have real groundhogs. I don't know.
We have gophers here.
Yeah,
The guy
gophers in
dresses up in a
Alberta.
suit that says he's a groundhog, but he isn't. He's
Yeah,
dresses in a suit.
gopher is like a
It's-
little cousin of the groundhog. Marmots
Oh.
are pretty close to being like groundhogs, though.
Really? Well,
And
they
it's your
seem-
friend. Let's take a look, see if I can.
what is their contribution to the animal kingdom? Like, what do they actually do? What is their part in the ecosystem?
Yeah.
I know nothing
Uh,
about
they-
people.
They feed
Yes.
animals with their bodies,
Okay, so they're,
Sure it
they're
is.
and
fighting against the animal kingdom.
and
They
they're
feed
terrible
owls
at
and-
weather prediction. I mean, I think if you just rolled the dice by chance, you'd be more right than the rodent.
Mhm.
Ew.
What do you think, Brandon? What were the rodents saying? I totally didn't pay attention. I forgot it
Oh.
was Groundhog Day. I'm in Wells, and all I see is snow falling for days, and I
Well-
forgot about reality and the outside world altogether.
The the weird story that came out of today. So all the groundhogs are all different to everything. It's the Balzac Billy went with early spring, and Shuganappi Sam went 6 more weeks of winter because they got a little more sunshine. Whoever had a little more sunshine. But the groundhog in Quebec today, they were going to they're do the celebration, and they found out 2 hours before they decided to do Groundhog Day in this community in Quebec. There, the groundhog was found dead in his cave. So,
Ew.
so
What'd you
just
do?
2
to it?
hours before he was going to go out to tell everybody it was going to be an early spring or something. So instead they
Nuclear
grabbed this.
winter. What does that mean? So save that one for the show for sure.
So instead, they went to grab this kid who's dressed up as a groundhog in the crowd and lifted him up to tell everybody that it was spring or not.
The little hog bastard didn't want to come out and do the one goddamn fucking job he has. His
Come
one
on.
job is to
My
look
job,
for a
decided
shadow.
to die. on
We
the day
don't
of
need to
job.
unnecessarily curse. It's just come on, Imogen. It's my channel you're representing.
Fair.
Well, I remember my big scare with a marmot when I was 8 years old, and we bought a house trailer. And the first night that I went to sleep, I woke up in the morning and there's this thing crawling all over me in my bed. And it was a marmot. They had moved the house trailer out of a camp in House Mountain, and it had a marmot in it. And he came in and he tried to bite me. So Dad went in and he got bit 2 or 3 times until he finally got the thing. He killed it with a hammer because he couldn't get it out of the house.
Did it tell you it was an early spring or not?
Spring had already come. He got there in April. He was a little bit too late. I suppose that's why he tried to bite us.
By reading the blood spatter, he determined another 8 weeks of winter.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
Uh,
All right, so rodent murder is cool, swearing's not.
Well, the thing is, I've been guilty of both many times. Thank you, Josh. Thank you very much to Josh Trotter Warner, whose computer I'm using, because my power pack for my Asus laptop, and as you can see, this is a fancy special one with crazy
yeah.
voltage, and it's got a particular connection for my gaming laptop, which is I don't use for gaming, I use for producing. And this is part of the problem with my life, as I'm still spending more on producing than I am on
Than you're
that I'm getting
receiving.
back. Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's ultimately the goal. First of all, is to just be breaking even, you know.
Yeah.
And but there's always something. So this power pack, by the time I get shipping in it next week, is $130. So I'm without a computer. That makes everything. So today I'm borrowing Josh's laptop, the computer engineer who is also the co-owner of the lodge that I own. Josh and I own the building together, and he's got his. You can figure it out. It's a huge place, right? So luckily, I live with a computer engineer, and so we're completely different people, Josh and I. And anyone who would have guessed that, 15 years go on, and here we are still at the lodge. But the thing is, never team up with people who are like you, right? And there's a good solid logic to this, right? And I've thought about this often with, but they say opposites attract, but I mean that's stupid because we know that's not always true. The point being that your set of skills only goes so far. And if you spend time only with people who are like you, then there's going to be a shortage in your amount of skills. So it's like, all my hippie friends who are only friends with other hippies, and then they have to change a flat tire, and they have a real hard time because they don't have any rednecks around that want to help them. You know what I'm saying, Hilding?
Yep. I know exactly.
You gotta be friends with everybody.
The point is that you need to admire somebody else's ability that you have no way of meeting, and then allow them into your life so that they can enhance you, and the world gets bigger and broader and better.
I told Josh's car out today. He didn't ask for that. I just went and did it because what I'm good at is being strong and stubborn and a Dutchman. And what he's good at is figuring out technical problems. So while I have no computer, we have a show tonight because of Josh. Hello to everyone in YouTube land. I got to use these weird headphones because his computer's different than mine, man. This is the pre-recording of the Comedeorological report, and we're talking about how rodents are stupid tonight. And I got my fishing hat on, Trilene. This isn't in any way sponsored. This is just me saying that's some darn good fishing line. I'll wear that hat any day. So we got 16 minutes till Frankie McDonald shows up. You don't think that's that funny? Come on, that's some good fishing line.
I'll take your word for it.
We'll take your word for it. Absolutely. I like fries with that too, by the way.
On top of all this, I feel nauseous right now. I occasionally suffer from some stomach maladies. And so yesterday I puked my coffee back up and didn't eat much. Yeah, it's just, and then finally got some food into me, but then I haven't eaten much today. I haven't eaten supper.
What the hell, Joey?
No, I know. I go through these things where eating sometimes hard for me. And I did a lot of damage to myself in this world. And also, so did the tuberculosis meds I had to take for a year. So when I say I have stomach maladies, I don't just mean like, I don't feel well and stress or anything. No, it's there are times where it's
not just a tummy ache.
Yeah, it's like a colitis reaction. And what brought it on was I ate spicy pizza quite late at night, and then I was just fucking wrecked for 2 days after. So that's a little insight into the suffering. I tried to share this on Twitter, but I'm on a different computer, and
your Twitter's not hooked up on it.
Well, then it wanted me to do all these phone confirmations, and it asked me for my birthday, and I'm just like, dude.
They want you to basically just go through every detail of your account just so that they'll let you sign in. Instead of just saying sign in like every other fucking website. No. Confirm everything. We want your last 25 passwords, please, sir.
Oh, it's too much. I just wanted to tell people on Twitter, because I only go on once a week basically anymore. But so yeah, what happened was we had limits to the amount of internet we can use in this town. That's going to change because TELUS has taken over our internet. So we hit the limit basically. So for like 3 days, I didn't produce any videos or do anything because I'm like, well, if I stay off the internet, well, that means like I didn't even stream videos, and I had to really kill some time out here alone. And then February 1st kicks over. I'm like, right on. I go make my first short little video and post it. And as I'm posting, I'm like looking at my computer's not charging. That's funny. And the battery's going down. It's plugged in, and then as that video gets up, my computer's draining, but I didn't want to stop it. So like all that hope, and then on top of that, last weekend I got all this new gear given to me by Tracy Cochran. This is like a kick-ass little GoPro right here that I've been wanting to use a GoPro my whole life. And look at this sexy little thing. And instead, I have no editing ability really, and no computer with which to do things. And it's just, it's the beginning of February, and I don't care what the freaking groundhog's doing. I'm just trying to get through another week.
Established that.
My water was frozen for 3 days. Then it came on, and there was no flood this time. So that's my week, man. But at least, I have my giant new TV, and I found out that it hooks into Spotify, and then it also hooks into my sound system, which I have a homemade bass cabinet that's excessive in behind the TV stand. So when I want to play drums in here, for example, to music, I can make it feel like a live band's in the room. I have that sound capacity with this place. It's amazing. But now it plugs directly into the TV. My old one couldn't do that. So, and then the TV, it's like a smart thing, and it goes on Spotify, and I can so even though I had no computer, I at least had this brand new awesome TV I could play video games on, and it would just play everything on Spotify. It's like, if I hadn't bought that TV, say this was 3 weeks ago, and the computer went down, I'd be just sitting here like, woo.
Back to reading books.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be like the olden days all over again, the dead of winter. Got my truck back, and then it snowed 2 feet, so I haven't gone anywhere.
But it is working now?
Sort of. It's still misfiring a little, Hilden. But the new computer did. Oh, yeah. I can get on the road and go in, and it's almost the same truck, but it's not smooth, So I don't know what to do yet, but except for, wait for money. Imogen, you're in a music video.
Yep, I was.
Was it good?
What do you mean, was it good? It was awesome. You saw the video. That's subjective, man.
No, I haven't seen the video. I've been computerless.
Fair enough.
So when I see everyone's messages on the phone, I'm just not tempted to
open it up and burn through data on your phone.
Well, there's no data at this point. Now that TELUS is taking over, there's, and I don't have my phone connected to the internet. That's because when that TV Upstart Adventure didn't pay me, and I gave them back all their gear, I didn't give them back the phone.
Oh.
Because they didn't,
and that's how you get a phone.
They called the police, and
What?
he came here.
You stole a phone?
The cop, Mike. I didn't really steal it, in my opinion. And I convinced the cop that it was a civil matter, and they didn't pay me, and also she's a liar, and showed that she'd lied to him. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I said, doesn't it suck to have some towners call you whining, trying to get you to do their business when it's not even your business?
Yep.
He's like, well, I'd be mad if I were you too. I said, I'm not mad. I got this phone out of it. But then she blacklisted it, of course, so I can't actually use it as a cell phone. It's just this Wi-Fi thing. But it's awesome because it's got a 4K camera, and that's what I need. They told me that by letting me go unfairly, that Valley TV News, that they would, what I really needed was to focus on the things I love to do and work on my show and my channel. And I said, that's great, but I'm giving you back all the gear. So what am I going to do that with? This crappy phone after just shooting in 4K. Everything was on this phone, and they didn't pay me for anything, basically. Wasted months of my time. Like, fuck that. I'm keeping the phone. It's like the one time I like put my foot down and been like, stop taking advantage of me, people.
I've done stuff like that already too.
It's like I just keep letting it go every time someone does, and then finally I'm just like, you know what? Screw you. I'm nice to everybody about everything, and it just keeps happening. So you know what? Keep in your phone, and I'll convince the cop too. So if anybody's actually watching online, feel free to ask questions or say hi in the comments. Hi. And Frankie will be here soon. And thanks for the thumbs up. And because we do want to get this channel to the point where people watch it. That's the hope.
Mhm.
So every time
comes
you hit
Imogen
thumbs
turning
up,
green
share,
and
or
purple.
subscribe, it
Image-
I love when she does
turning into
that.
an Oompa Loompa here.
Yep.
There
Now I'm
you
back.
go. Now you're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I have to keep my I checked out, I just opened up the YouTube channel for a second here, and having that open caused my camera to twitch.
I like when I see Brandon's face where your face should be. That's funny.
That is
Well, yeah,
funny.
so
Yeah.
I'm channeling Brandon.
It's actually Brandon who's the Oompa Loompa.
I'm channeling our
Oompa Loompa.
ginger gem.
Well, I do have orange hair here, so
That's true. And you're wearing green,
and I'm wearing green. Yeah.
and you do like candy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like candy.
And I
have
seen you murdering children.
murdering. Yeah, I've had my lifesavers here.
At least we don't know what happens to those kids.
Well, looks like we got some thunder snow in Quebec here right now. That's fun. Lightning bolts.
I love how every time there's a thunderstorm, people are like, "This never happens."
I know.
And when you pay attention, you're like, yeah,
Yeah, when you pay. Yeah, it's been happening
fact-
for quite a
In
while.
fact, every thunderstorm almost, if you go to the right elevation, you're gonna run into snow.
Yep, that's
Right?
right.
It's, you're on the ground and not flying through it. So the thunder snow is always going on during a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
That's my logic.
Especially in the mountains there. Oh yeah. Higher elevations, and usually most raindrops do start off as a snowflake, and
That's
then
what I'm
by
saying.
the time they get down to that warmer air mass, they eventually turn to raindrops. And in the wintertime, they don't change to raindrops; they stay as a snowflake all the way down to the surface. So.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. So I don't know. This computer's being funny. Hopefully. And then it's got a mouse, and that Josh gave me. But the thing is that they're made for right-handed people. Luckily, I'm
Where's my mouse
fucking.
here?
Luckily, I'm a fucking dexterous.
I don't have a cord on my mouse. It's really nice.
We got 5 minutes till a possible Frankie sighting.
Frankie said, "Oh yeah, I'll talk about Bigfoot sightings too.
Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah, how they are false sightings.
They're just
Tell you
Who
why.
has
fat,
Bigfoot
hairy
sightings?
dudes. That's all they are. They're not actual Bigfoots or
Oh, you just wait until I get you the
fat
story
guys.
here.
hairy
It'll
dudes.
be good.
Well, I can tell you about the Bigfoot that lives around here. Grassy
that you?
Plains has its own Bigfoot, I've seen it 3 times.
3 times.
Jesus.
I'm not sure what it is. It definitely had longer limbs than a bear and stood up on its hind feet. But
Ah.
I'm not sure exactly how big it was, but I've been confirmed by 3 other people have seen it.
Mm.
But and there's a valley full of spruce trees where he seems to come out of every once in a while. But I don't know what animal it is, so I'm just calling it a Bigfoot so far.
Just
I've
Bigfoot.
seen a great big huge black bear. I came around the corner on a logging road, and this thing was walking around, and your immediate thought is like, that looks like a fucking Sasquatch. That's weird, man. And this thing is just sort of walking around, and no, it was a bear, like
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
just walking on 2 feet everywhere
Yeah.
he goes.
Ever
Well,
heard-
this,
So,
this
yeah.
one has
I mean,
way
that-
longer arms than bear paws.
And he looked all gangly
Might be a guy in a suit too.
because they got sort of short bodies, right? So it looked his arm looked all gangly. So
Yeah.
I mean, you could just have
You can have the wrong perspective of something. Very easy. I understand that. Yeah.
here's
I just
Frankie
don't think
showing
that
up.
what I saw was a bear, but it could have been.
We're gonna have some fun tonight on the show.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I got some good facts for you tonight. Oh boy.
Oh, good.
And here comes Frankie.
Brandon,
Also
the
something
fax machine.
interesting. A
Frankie's
refreshing
here.
stuff.
Good evening, Frank.
I Joey, they
Glenn.
got I predict the fire season's going to be really bad this summer coming up because they're developing El Nino obstacles in Ecuador.
Okay, let's talk about it. We'll hit record, and I'll introduce the show. We're a couple minutes early, but that's okay. It doesn't hurt to start
What
a few
happened
minutes
here?
early.
On your other laptop, the cord is broken.
Yes, Frankie. It's not the cord. It's this box. It's what do you call it? An adapter, and it's a special one for Asus. My laptop's a high-powered gaming
It's
laptop
the
that I
ROG.
use. Yes. So nothing in Quesnel. No one has what I need. Basically, right?
That means your replacement cord could be in transit.
It is. It's been ordered by Amazon. Can everybody, when I talk, do you see me or are you still seeing Frankie?
I'm seeing you, Joey.
Okay, cool. Because on my computer, I would see myself, but that's not what's happening here. I just still see Frankie standing there, which is nice. I quite like that. But so it's just like, am I being seen? So we'll start recording in a second, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, it's really set me back. But I'm using Josh's computer and his fancy headphones. I've never been a headphone kind
I
of
know
guy.
that guy, Angio. He does his own predictions now. He used to do his podcast last year. He just does predictions on his channel now.
What kind of predictions?
Sports predictions.
Ah, right. Not like, yeah. What's that guy's name from the 1500s? Everyone, Nostradamus. Everyone's like, Nostradamus predicted it all. It's like, you're like, oh, you mean that guy who was so super vague that anything he said could be applied to anything?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, look at my birth was predicted by Nostradamus. I could probably pull out a passage and
Today was September 11th, 2001.
yeah, all hearsay and conjecture. Okay, I'm gonna hit record. Record to the cloud. Oh, this computer is weird, but to the cloud. Cloud. Everything's freezing. Okay,
Okay,
hopefully
it says
this is
here we're recording, so
okay. Hopefully this works. Good morning, Prince George, and good afternoon, Winnipeg. This is Joey Only, the host of the Comedeorological Report. Comedy plus meteorology equals comedeorology. This is your show about how much the weather sucks in Canada, most explicitly, especially. You're hearing us on C for 88.7 FM in Prince George, that big old smoky city, and you're hearing us in Winnipeg. You're freezing us in Winnipeg down now on CKUW 95.9 FM and C for 88.7 FM in Prince George. Yes, we're your show about how much the weather sucks in Canada, and everyone is here to complain about it. We got Frankie McDonald ready to come on board in a few seconds here, but first, let me introduce the rest of the cast who's already shown up. We don't know. Other people might just pop on, and that's what I expect. We got Brandon Hauk, of course, as always, the radio weatherman who's down in Brooks, Alberta, and broadcasts regularly from 105.7 FM. And if I just said 0.6, yeah, from 0.6 FM, like because there's no channel in the world is that. From 105.7 FM, Brooks, Alberta's real country radio station. He's here with all the weather details. He's a real guy, this Brandon Hauk. And we got Hilding Donaldson out in Grassy Plains, Alberta. He's making little weather predictions and observations, and he's posting it to our Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers group on Facebook that I started years ago. It's got 15,000 people on it. So if you ever feel like becoming an Interior Weather and Wilderness Watcher, you can join Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. All right. And Imogen Cookie Bailey's down there in Victoria. I'm Joey Only, once again here in Wells, BC. Frankie McDonald, the man. How you doing so far this week, Frankie?
Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Islands under extreme cold warning, and so is Montreal, Quebec, where base sky is. And Ontario is under extreme cold warning. In Boston, Massachusetts, that's where Michael P. Mahone, aka Mike the K-Man, He's from Massachusetts. He does Facebook rankings, weekly rankings for the week and things like this. And Vancouver, British Columbia is going to rain for the next few weeks on the west coast of Canada, including Seattle, Portland, all the way down to Northern California, because the storm train setting for west coast of California is going to be really bad rainstorms nonstop in Oregon, Washington, Vancouver, and those places as well. It's going to bring extremely cold temperatures with sea effect snow and lake effect snow this weekend coming, because the Gulf of St. Lawrence is pretty warm. Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, they're really warm. Caused a lot of snowfalls in Ontario this weekend as well. And it's been a blizzard in southern Ontario as well. And New Zealand's going to get really hot weather with lots of rain. And the North island of New Zealand getting heat waves. They're getting lots of rain in northern Australia. It had 10 straight days of rain in Madagascar, Africa. It's still thunderstorms of rain. Sometime in the middle of February, there's a possible tropical cyclone headed towards Madagascar, Africa, as well, to bring a lot of the rain in Zimbabwe, Zambia, Uganda, and South Central Africa, and things like this. And Botswana is bringing so much rain because it's their rainy season right now. Their fall doesn't start till March 20th. Indonesia's getting a lot of rain and thunderstorms lately as well, bringing lots of rain in Amazon rainforest in Venezuela, Brazil. They're bringing lots of rain and thunderstorms in Ecuador, those places, and Peru and Bolivia, and those places. And northern Chile is really dry. And there's a possible El Nino going to develop. There's an El Nino going to develop later on in the year off the coast of Ecuador, the warm waters of the Pacific. It's going to bring really bad forest fire season in British Columbia interior this summer coming.
Money season. Frankie, what about over in Russia? What's the weather doing there this week?
It's going to be really, really, really cold temperatures. It'll be starting to warm up to like -15 with the wind chill sometime in March. In Siberia, then it starts to warm up there next month. Once again, April temperature will be going above freezing sometime in April in Siberia.
What about in Japan?
It's been lots of snow in northern Japan and west coast of Japan because of cold air fighting each other. Storms forming off the coast of Japan. South Korea, North Korea, 5 years, South Russia, northern China, Mongolia is really, really cold. Even Algeria had really cold weather this week. In Egypt, it's getting cold weather in Libya. And Morocco's getting really cold weather as well.
In Siberia, in the summer, how warm
Frankie?
does it get?
It's extremely hot in Siberia in June, July, and August.
Really? Like 40 degrees or 50 degrees Celsius?
30 to 40, even 50 sometimes.
Ew. Cool.
Yep, Siberia. It's continental. You know, it's much like sort of the northern prairies
Yeah.
of Canada in some ways, right? Yep. You know, it's continental air masses. Frankie, do you consider groundhogs to be intelligent?
Groundhogs, see the shadow. That means it could be 6 more weeks of winter and days like this.
I
Do
saw
you
some
think
very
groundhogs
there.
know much about? Do you know? Do you think groundhogs know much about meteorology?
They can see the shadow or not.
So they really would you? Do you think that groundhogs are stupid?
That means once again in the spring, the Arctic ice starts melting up North Pole in spring.
Yeah, my premise is that groundhogs aren't really very smart, and they don't know much about weather, and they never really have before. And if you think groundhogs are smart, you've never hunted them or shot them on the farm. You've never watched birds peck them off, and you've never watched dogs and coyotes just get them no problem. You know, they're not especially smart animals. They're kind of cute critters, depending on what subspecies. I don't think necessarily that you can rely on a groundhog's prediction very much for weather. Do you think so, Frankie?
And not much. That means that up in its prairie province, it's going to bring a lot of severe weather this spring and summer coming up. It's going to bring a lot of thunderstorms with hail. It's this summer coming up in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba.
Does anybody on the Comedeorological panel have questions for Frankie McDonald?
Actually, yeah.
What does it mean? All right. You go first.
Pete shows up late, and but here he is. Pete Glanco's out in Colorado. He's got a question for Frankie McDonald.
Well, you were talking about groundhogs there. I saw some prairie dogs earlier. Does that mean anything, Frankie?
And that means a groundhog. That means it depends on the weather patterns in March, April, May. The Arctic ice cap starts to melt. Siberia starts to warm up in March. to a -10 is daytime high. Once again in April, they'll be going above freezing there.
I saw some hot dogs, Frankie. You like hot dogs?
I like hot dogs, hamburgers, pizzas, Chinese food.
Ketchup, mustard, relish. What?
I like mustard.
Nice. Next question for Frankie McDonald.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, how many groundhogs could a megalodon shark eat?
That
Mm.
means groundhogs and things like this.
Say what now?
Groundhogs don't eat sharks.
How
Well-
many groundhogs could a shark eat? A megalodon, especially.
Lots of them.
Lots of them. So groundhogs are like the chicken nuggets of the animal kingdom. So
Yeah.
like
Kinda.
10 groundhogs would be the same as like a big cat or a medium cat. So how many medium cats could a megalodon eat?
A dog is like a roast beef for a shark.
It absolutely is. That is the best comparison. I agree.
Could you imagine that? Like, instead of plankton, it's just like a whole bunch of groundhogs floating around out in the ocean, and then a big shark comes up or a big whale and just takes a huge gulpful, and then closes its baleen and spits out the water, and then has a mouthful of sea dogs, the groundhogs from the sea. Any other questions for Frankie McDonald? Did any of the groundhogs see the shadow, Frankie?
Groundhog has saw a shadow in my area today.
Ask them what's the best weather.
What does that mean?
That means the people, they say 6 more weeks of winter, but it's not true.
You can pop on and ask.
6 more weeks of winter. But we can hear you on the show back there, but you can come on and ask. That is another thing. Well, if no one has else got anything else for Frankie McDonald, stick around, Frankie. We'll talk to you a lot more. We were having this pared down show because of my computer technical problems this week. So I don't know what we're going to have for sound bites and extra clips and all the things that make it fun. I definitely, because we didn't know if we were going to be able to do a show or not, didn't get a special guest on this week. But every week we have the same sort of core of Comedeorological special guests on the panel. And when we do have a show without any extra people on, it's nice to have the
And Trey
crew,
Campbell,
including
Trey Campbell's doing comedy
Trey
show.
Campbell. So no Trey Campbell tonight. Trey Campbell from Houston, Texas, sometimes comes on. He's a radio programmer down there, producer. But we got a radio producer of our own right here, Brandon Hauk.
And I heard that
he's
Texas
over.
had, Dallas had a lot of freezing rain and power outages going on in Texas. It was freezing rain nonstop in Dallas. In Arkansas, where Sam Falcon of Donna Mantis podcast is from, Arkansas.
What about that freezing rainstorm, Brandon?
Yeah, that was quite an ice storm. Before I jump into that here, I noticed behind Imogen there, that would be Shanghai, China. I was actually standing on that riverbank behind there. That's the TV tower behind her.
Oh,
In that
that's
photo.
what that is.
That's what that is. The TV tower for the city of Shanghai.
There's no fooling
Interesting.
Brandon Hauk.
Well,
No, I was standing right on that riverbank there.
cool.
10 years ago almost. Yeah.
And he
Okay.
was sober, so he remembers it.
Oh yeah. They were trying to give me beer though, but I was underage. But they really wanted to give me beer at those live shows that we went to.
Well, it's good that you didn't, because the next thing you'd know, you'd be in a Chinese prison for drinking beer illegally
That's right.
for like the next 20 years, and you wouldn't have been here to give us your weather report.
That's right. So I made good choices down there.
That's true. I wouldn't have made that choice. I would have just got wasted. But,
Why were you in
that's
China?
why I'm a sober man
Seriously,
these
why?
days.
They're pretty lenient about alcohol in China. It's the drugs that they're not lenient about. Open container is not against the law in China. You could walk around the mall, streets publicly drinking your beer. And
In my day, I was publicly.
it's one thing they're lenient about.
Yes. In fact, I would tell audiences during our shows that we're not high on drugs and alcohol or anything, and then my pedal steel player would say, "No, actually, we're kind of low. If anyone's got any, you can meet us after the show." So,
That's great.
Brandon, Hauk,
Brandon, why
give
were
us
you
your
in
weather
China?
rundown, buddy.
Why was I in
Hold on.
China?
Yeah, why were you in China?
Well, in
Why
high
wouldn't you-
school, I
why wouldn't
decided
you
to
be?
join the travel club because
Oh, dear.
why not? And they were going to China, so I went.
Because football was out of football was out of your reach, so you joined the
Yeah.
travel club.
So I joined the travel club and went to China. I climbed the Great Wall. Yeah.
Neat.
And I took a big
Okay.
slide down the
that
Great
great
Wall.
then.
That was fun. And they told me to slow
did-
down in
Can't be
Chinese.
that great.
They told you to
I
slow
did a
down.
If it was
Similar-
great, you wouldn't be able to climb it.
Similar trip in high school. We probably had a similar itinerary. We did Shanghai, the Great Wall, and all that.
Yeah.
Did you
Oh.
get
Went
to
on the
slide
river
down it
cruise.
as well?
We went to
People super ambassadors.
we drove 2.5 hours to Ottawa and like checked it out. And we're like, man, this is one heck of a school trip. Like,
Oh,
So,
I went to
Brandon-
Ottawa too. Yeah.
I got,
look, okay.
I got major news. Cowboy Frank Dalbaba is coming out in May of 2023. You can pre-order it right now on National Broadway Hall of Fame website. Joe, you can pre-order it.
I will. I got major news too. It's Brandon Houck's segment.
All right. Yes, my segment. I better get started here. We're off the rails already here. Well, I was going to call it this morning, but well, it kind of is in Prince George, I guess. It's like 11, just after 10 a.m., right? On Saturday morning.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. All right. So, ice storm. That was a pretty nasty system in Texas there this week with significant bouts of freezing rain through Dallas and not just in Texas, but through Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee, got into the ice for about 3 days. Power outages. I think there's still power outages going on down there as well. And people sliding all over the place because in Texas, they're not used to a lot of ice and that much ice in that period of time. And they don't have winter tires, obviously. So they're going to slide around. And saw lots
Well,
of
even
videos
if
of
they
that.
did, as you know, Brandon, even for those of us who are well accustomed to winter driving, that first coating of slipperiness on the
Oh, yeah.
road screws. It doesn't matter how good you are,
That's
most
right.
of the time.
Yeah.
you know. And then everyone's like, "Oh, everyone forgot how to drive." Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
actually, that first when the highway first ices up, it's
Yeah.
the worst.
It is. It is absolutely. And so, yeah, that was the situation in Texas. And for us, we had well, we didn't really get as cold as the eastern prairies, thankfully, but it did get pretty cold this weekend in parts of Alberta. And today as well, we had, especially from areas like Lloydminster through Cold Lake up to Fort McMurray, they got well in the minus 30s. I think Cold Lake, one of the cold spots, minus 37 earlier today, and wind chills at around minus 43. And we saw that very cold air mass over Saskatchewan, Manitoba as well. In the Northwest Territories, I think Rankin Inlet had wind chills of minus 64. So that was dangerously cold throughout this week. We were kind of on the border here in Alberta and BC. Some parts of BC got cold some days, and then it kind of bumps up a little bit here as that Pacific air mass. So it's like a battle between Pacific air and cold Arctic air. And now that Pacific air is going to be winning out as we go through the beginning of the weekend with a series of storm systems in British Columbia as well. And some of that snow has reached Alberta. Grand Prairie picked up easily 15 centimeters of snow last couple of days. And now that's snow has petered off as now we're into that westerly flow, downsloping winds, and that's going to allow for these warmer temperatures, with temperatures peaking above the melting point for a couple of days throughout the weekend here and into the early stages of next week. And looks like it will eventually reach the eastern prairies as well throughout next week. Probably won't get as warm as Alberta, but we'll eventually start seeing that milder air move eastwards. And the other thing that's moving east is that polar vortex and that Arctic front. We're watching it on radar right now. That's moving through Ontario with the snow squalls and even thunder snow happening at this hour south of Montreal and up by Torres Rivières there, dealing with the thunder snow activity at this hour. So pretty impressive squall line of Arctic air moving eastbound, and we will be dealing with some very cold wind chills. Mount Washington up in New Hampshire there, they're going to be dealing with a wind chill of minus 80 degrees Celsius on Friday. So that is going to be insane. And we could be dealing with wind chills reaching the minus 40s in all three maritime provinces on Friday night into Saturday. So they're in for a brutal cold air mass that's moving through just for one day, but eventually it will warm up into next week. But yeah, not many people in the Maritimes
Well,
experience minus 40 wind chills very often.
we knew that when the cold kind of started here, that there wasn't a lot of certainty as to how long it would play out and into what manner. And
Brandon, you had extremely cold weather back in December 2022. You had a brutal cold weather in December before Christmas.
Yes.
you know, just after my water froze here, I looked up to the sky and I seen that some telltale signs of change, and I was just like, oh, right on. And then it went Pacific. We had 2 feet of snowfall here in Wells. We've been absolutely buried. It's been so much fun. Yeah. So I'm wearing right now my Cipher 88.7 FM t-shirt. We're recording on February the 2nd. And so it's 2 days. So on the 4th, you hear us in Prince George. On the 6th, you hear us in Winnipeg. So keep that in mind. We're reviewing last week's weather stories. So not only do I have a Cipher 88.7 FM hat on, or shirt on, I have a Trilene. I'm wearing my Trilene hat today. That's a fishing hat. And so you know what the thing about Trilene? It's such good fish. This I'm not put up to this at all, and I just think it's a good hat. It's a good fishing line, and you could use it to snare a groundhog and kill it.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of groundhogs, today we had a groundhog sadly pass away 2 hours before he was supposed to. I'm not supposed to laugh at this, but
I know I can't help it.
but he was
Damn it.
supposed to go out and
Stupid thing. Its only job in the world is to not die.
Its only
On
job is to
Groundhog
look at a
Day.
shadow, to literally poke its head out the door, and that's it.
Thus, its only job really is to not die on the day of.
Yes.
Its only purpose in life.
that's
Okay, Brandon.
right.
So what do they do with a groundhog?
So with the groundhog who passed away in Quebec, so they had to figure out something quickly because they have a crowd of people waiting outside to see this groundhog and see if he sees a shadow or not. So they took a kid out of the crowd, dressed him up in a groundhog kind of suit, and picked him up in the air like the Lion King and said, "Here you go. Do you see his shadow or not?" And
He's not supposed to answer. Did they pick a kid who is somewhat
That's
like
pretty
a
lame.
groundhog in terms of capabilities?
yeah, so that was probably one of my highlights of Groundhog Day so far, as I'm not a big fan of it. But anyways,
No, if you want weather news, turn to the Comedeorological Report with
that's right.
Joey Olney and Frankie McDonald and Brandon Hoke, and of course special guests like Hamden and Hilding and Pete. So, Brandon, what else you got?
What else do I got this week? Well, found out this week, I've found out a couple neat stories. Scientists want to bring back the dodo and the woolly mammoths from the dead. Speaking of the dead, we want to bring back some of these animals in the future. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Kinda
I
like
can't
Jurassic
wait
Park
to eat
here.
a mammoth.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. I bet they have delicious steak.
Ever
That's
since,
amazing.
ever since that, the Flintstones, and at the end they throw on that big rack of ribs onto Fred's, and it would tip over.
Yeah, on his
Flintstones.
barbecue.
Yeah.
It was like because
They're
it was too
cave
big.
dudes. They have to
And
cook by
I got
fire.
me.
Like
I got
solid
more
rock
than-
wheels, but this rack of ribs tipped it over.
Yeah.
That's a heavy rack of ribs, man. That's a low center of gravity on that Flintstone mobile. So ever
You know
since
what?
then, I thought, man, I would love to eat some mammoth ribs.
Oh yeah.
They totally grill with charcoal. That is not a propane house. Hank Hill and Fred Flintstone would be at odds. Like it'd be a fight to the death.
Guess what? I got major news for you. Roger the Wild Child's moving to Houston, Texas from Idaho.
Propane products.
That's an upgrade. Good for him. When's he moving?
He's in Texas now. He's
He's
moving
there
to
now.
Houston.
Idaho's an upgrade from Texas.
No, the other way around. Texas is way cooler. Good for
They
him.
are.
Just moved it
Why,
from
Are you the
Idaho.
wolves that have been hawking off in that trailer again?
why did he want to move? Why did he move, Frankie?
He got a job offering to things like this. They're going to move his family once their school year is over in Idaho. Their family's going to move to Texas.
That's awesome. Good for him. Tell Roger I said congratulations.
Yes.
To let them know that Texas is a state of mind. It's an obsession, so saith John Steinbeck.
You'll be able to see more tornadoes in Texas Yep,
Ooh, sexy tornadoes.
that's right.
I love me some tornado.
If
Kevin,
everything's
Roger,
bigger in
well,
Texas,
isn't
does
it
that mean a
confused?
6-pack is a case?
When Houston
That's-
declares state emergency, when hurricane hits for Houston, Roger the Wild Child would have to evacuate in advance.
Now I don't drink anymore, but a 6-pack in my day was what we call the kids pack. I'm from out east where a case is 24 bottles.
Yes.
Everything's bigger in Texas, so you need at least a 30-pack.
This is
Yeah,
escalating
well,
quickly, man.
You need more. You need more than that because the beer is only 2% alcohol or something down there. They
American
drink
beer
this
is
friggin'
filtered.
They
water urine.
they do water down like in the can. At least I haven't gone beer shopping in Boulder though. Last time I lived here, in the college town area, they set a percentage limit where even the name normal brand beers are like a lower percent, like the ones that are they're like
Land of the free money.
they're they're like 3 point. That's only in Boulder County. That's not the rest of Colorado though. But I remember when I first moved here, I could not believe it. I was like, because it would be like the same label, the same brands, and it'd be a few percent less alcohol in Boulder County. They like coddle the kids in Boulder County. It's like the flavored vapes are banned technically in Boulder, and they have a tax on sugary beverages. It's like an extra 10 cents per fluid ounce or some BS
My
like
God.
that. It's like,
ever-
oh my goodness.
You guys ever
It's
seen
just like,
Americans? You guys ever seen Americans come up here and drink a bunch of Canadian beer? You ever see
Oh,
what
yeah.
happens?
Oh yeah, it annihilates them. It's a thing of beauty.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
not,
pretty
hey,
funny,
hey,
man.
hey. Colorado's defense, there's a lot of craft breweries outside of the grocery store, watered down beers in certain areas. So if you want your 7, 8, 9% IPAs, you can find those somewhere else, but
It's
not at
much
the
like
grocery stores in that area at least.
much like Kelowna. You either go for the craft brewery or you go for the crack house. Who's next? Hilding? Actually, well, we got Pete right here talking. Pete Galenko.
Oh,
How's your
I
weather
got
down
some.
in Colorado?
It is 30
Have you
degrees right
been
now,
to?
but it was a high of 40s, in the 40s today, almost 50, which is like summer weather compared to what we were having this past week. It was 0 degrees the other day, like so Fahrenheit. So being in, it's 30 now, cooling down a little bit, but it was above freeze for most of the day today. So
When are
for
you going
Thursday, a
to?
lot of people out and about. A lot of people were out and about at the taco trucks, and I
Nice.
learned a whole lot about foraging, uh, food foraging and stuff.
Foraging tacos, dumpster diving.
Oh no, not that type of foraging. Though I drove a school teacher earlier about 30 minutes, and I was talking about how there's so many Canadian geese out here, and he explained to me why the weather patterns or something caused there to be an excess of geese in this state. Because I was like, after seeing them so much, they're starting to look delicious, and I've looked into it about like,
They
I know
are.
you gotta bleed them out to make them a little bit less gamey, and then you can freeze them to reduce the chance of parasites. Like that stuff I do, but this guy turned out to be like an expert on foraging and all things like, I don't know. So it was a really interesting conversation. He was talking
He's
about how to do it proper. It's best to emulsify with some either berries or fruits to offset the gamey flavor. Then he was saying that
or
there's
you
good
also can
bitter herbs in the foothill mountains, and then
what you do is you can
pear.
also coat them in salt for a night and then rub the salt off the next day, and that helps pull a lot of the game flavor out. So that's
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like a brine idea, right? That's what I've used
yeah,
for my road chickens that I've shot here and there.
nice,
Definitely,
nice.
that's definitely my language you're talking. I mean,
Yeah,
I went to Air Cadet Survival Instructor School, right? Foraging was from the time I was very teenagerish and young, something I was into was
yeah.
eating whatever was in the forest at homes.
Yeah, he was telling me all about it. He was talking about like roasted pine cones and all sorts of stuff, making moonshine out of dandelions, basically, or
Oh
something
yeah.
similar to that. I was all sorts of stuff I hadn't even heard of, but and then apparently also geese are go pretty well with uh what's it called, root vegetables and stuff, and he was telling me all about these different geese recipes. I was like, that was more than I expected.
Well, they
So
aren't Canadian geese in a sense. They don't call themselves that. They don't recognize the border. They don't care about human
they don't.
politics or human ideas. If you ask them in their language, what do you call yourselves? Their word for themselves is honk.
Uh,
There we go.
Yeah, that's literally how that's what they call themselves. So,
Honkers.
Canada, America, that's just human ideas. That's the geese don't care. They don't
They
see a
hiss at
border. They
you.
don't have speaking of no borders, a place with no borders is outer space. Pete, have you really given consideration? What I think I want you to do is call public relations at Space Force Base and ask for an interview. Can you get us an interview with someone from Space
uh,
Force?
maybe I'll see what I can do.
I'm
I'm
not
sure
kidding. I
there's
want to talk.
somebody.
This is hilarious to me. I want to talk to someone from Space Force friggin' base.
Well, if you introduce it that way, that it's hilarious to you, I don't think that will be the right approach. I probably should do the
Well,
talking
it
for
might
getting
be.
somebody
I
on the
mean,
show.
it might be the right approach. I mean, after all, Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, just did a interview on Jimmy Kimmel, who spent years making fun of the guy inside of a claw machine. You know those claw machines that pick up teddy bears. And as Mike Lindell was doing the interview, kids coming up and putting loonies in, and Mike was helping them by putting the toy in the claw for them as he's standing amongst all the teddy. You should see this on Jimmy Kimmel. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I'll
The
check
point,
it out. Big
the point,
big fan of Mike
he's
Lindell
awesome.
and his recovery.
I think Mike Lindell's a complete idiot. However, his
He recovered
sportsmanship for
from
coming on the
smoking
show,
crack to becoming a multimillionaire, and people
well,
judge him because of
obviously,
things he says. It's just like, look what he did. He became rich and he stopped doing crack cocaine. Who cares what his
well,
opinions are? It's like
the point, the point I want to
it
make
seems
is,
childish to me
okay,
to
fair enough.
criticize him for opinions, but
I mean, the guy's out to lunch. I mean,
look
let's
what
be
he
fair, but
achieved.
he was a good sport. He went on Jimmy Kimmel. And he sat inside a vending machine and got made fun of and laughed the whole way and gave it back. And he was a good sport. And anyway, so the point being that if
He
Space
sold
Force Base
40
thought we were
billion
having
pillows, soft white
if
pillows.
Space Force Base thought we were having a serious conversation in which I'm going to be asking hard-hitting journalistic questions, that might be more of a we don't want to be on that. Whereas if we just say, come on, let's have someone from Space Force friggin' base on the
I
Comedeorological
suppose
report, and
so.
we
They're
talk
not
about
gonna
space weather, and,
pry into their secrets,
or a
I
weather show, and we
suppose.
talk about space weather, and we just want to laugh, and having someone from Space Force Base on, that'd be some good sportsmanship. They could be like Mike Lindell. They don't even have to go inside of a claw machine, tell them.
Here, I'm gonna start talking to him and be like, want somebody from the Space Force base because the host of the show considers y'all like Mike Lindell, and he thinks Mike Lindell is a lunatic. So that I
That's
don't
your
think that would
wording.
be.
That's not how you represent a radio show, Pete. What you got to say is,
That's pretty much a
like,
summary. That's pretty much a summary of what you were just saying. Though
well,
I
maybe
think
it
I could
is,
come
but
up with
that's
something
not what I
better.
would say to the Space Force base people when I'm saying, hey, I run a comedy weather
A
show,
casual, a casual, a
and
casual show
we'd like you to find your
about the
funniest
weather.
guy. We'd like to find your funniest guy in public relations and get him on our show and disclose nothing about what Space Force Base actually does. That's how I would talk to them.
Well,
Well,
we'll
we want to
see.
know what they actually do, actually, but I'll
Yeah.
check if we get any
In a
answers.
funny way.
I'll be like, do you put probes in aliens? Just kidding. And then see if they twitch, All right.
If you get outrageous enough, they won't have to worry about about giving away secrets to make everybody laugh.
Yeah, that's the point. See, that's when you talk to a government agency, and you want to do a comedy show, you ask them in the public relations department for the funniest person they got.
You know,
If
speaking
someone in
of
their
different,
department's funny.
reminds me of different branches of the military. I wonder if the military has planned for drills in case of a World War III. If the instance that Russia started invading through Canada, if we would just write off Canada as like collateral damage, or if US would have planned to defend Canada.
That's why we're only loosely friends, because we know
Yeah.
that what we actually are is the can fodder line between you, and we know that we're pretty damn tough. It'll take them a long time to get through us, I'll tell you that. Hilding, you're sort of out there in another world between me and Russia. How goes the weather in Grassy Plains this week? And what are your groundhogs saying there, bud?
Well, it's kind of funny. We haven't had anything to make a shadow with, so obviously he hasn't seen his shadow.
Or a show with. I mean, the weather is actually.
Yeah.
Wait, we just had a lot of snow, didn't we?
We've had we had -20 on Sunday, and other than that, we've had -5 to +5. And yesterday we had 3 centimeters of snow. I thought it was going to snow for a week, and it just snowed for one morning.
Oh, it snowed for 3 straight days here.
Yeah. I looked at you and I said, why didn't we get all that snow? We need some.
Well, that's because you live out in the plains and I live up here in the mountains, and I'm a mountain goat, because I knew that when Russia attacks, this is the kind of place you're gonna want to be, is somewhere up in the mountains where there's clean water and all that
You
stuff.
can burrow into the snow to hide.
Yeah, if you have to.
Yeah.
Because even if you're deep enough in that snow hiding, that even their heat scanners won't find you.
Mhm.
So not either. Yeah. Okay. So you didn't get the snow we got. We sure got some
No.
snow, bud. And really, there's not a whole lot to talk about for weather coming up, because it's kind of looking just sort of seasonal with a little bit of hit or miss stuff.
I mean, we're having a lot of trouble with ice right now, because last week we had one day when it was +5 and rained a little bit. And so what snow we had kind of turned to ice, and now everybody's sliding all over the place and running into things.
Right. That's my favorite. Cookie Bailey.
Yeah, what's up?
Yo, what's up with you? You're on a new music video.
Yes, sir, I am.
And it's a video about the weather.
Yeah, we can go with that because that's the most interesting thing I do. Yeah, I was in another music video. There's a couple of those floating around there.
It wasn't about the weather, was it?
Not in the slightest.
But weather was happening when you made it.
It was very cold and crisp, and everything was damp. The ground was wet, and I was crawling around on the ground and being all spooky and doing spooky stuff. So
I haven't seen it actually yet. I haven't seen
wow.
it yet. Well, because I haven't had a computer, so I actually have an excuse this week for why I haven't watched everyone's content. Whereas usually it's just like, well, I'm a closet narcissist. How do I trick them into thinking that I just was too busy to watch them? But no, actually, this week I got a reason for not paying attention to anything that's going on.
Hey, Joey, frostbite and heat stroke are opposites.
They are. Have you ever had frost stroke?
Frostbite and
Bite,
heat
man.
stroke are 2 different ways.
Yeah. How's it happen?
That means in the summertime they issue heat warning.
Definitely the signs of freezing to death start when the air is cold. Certainly, that's one difference between hypothermia and heat stroke. What people need to know about heat stroke, actually, I'll just be serious for a second, that heat stroke, people say all the time, oh, I think I'm getting heat stroke. And no, actually, heat stroke is a life-threatening, debilitating condition that needs immediate medical attention. That's an immediate trip to the hospital. That's okay. So you don't have heat stroke. You didn't have heat stroke. You had heat exhaustion, and it was bad.
But that
was
means
bad.
all
Heat
those
exhaustion can
all
be
those neighborhood houses in Calgary and Edmonton, they're putting heat pumps there too.
Heat exhaustion is really bad. Heat exhaustion gets you into the territory of heat stroke, and heat stroke can kill you dead.
What about the houses in Kamloops, British Columbia, Kelowna? They're putting in heat pumps in houses in Regina, Saskatoon, Moose Jaw, Swiftcurrent, and all those places. People getting heat pumps, trying to keep the house cool in the summer.
Right. I have this amazing ability with this lodge that if I just close the curtains, it stays like 10 degrees in here in the middle of like a heat wave off, and it's awesome. I love my lodge. It's dark and shady in the summertime, but in the wintertime, I open up all the curtains and let the sunshine come in because the sun's at the right angle, and I get some extra warmth in the daytime. Having south-facing windows is a big deal, friends. I only heat with wood.
Yep.
Did somebody say wood?
Woodchuck chuck, right?
Yeah. So
Much could a woodchuck chuck. Wood could chuck wood. There
how
we go.
many groundhogs do you think you killed in your lifetime, Hilding?
I'm not even sure because when I lived in Pennsylvania, I hit quite a few on the road, and that's kind of not the nicest thing to do. They can really wreck your car up. They call them road pigs or night pigs down there, and people hate them because you pop over these little rock rises in the fields into a dark little valley, and all of a sudden there's a groundhog running across the road. They just stop right there and let you run into them.
The holes they make are certainly one of the things that one of the reasons we discourage them from being on the farm, and by discourage them I mean we discouraged them from coming on the farm. You know, because people don't know that the groundhogs out east are not like the little prairie dogs and stuff that we see out west here. I mean, these are really big, fat marmot-like things that are. If in the BC mountains you have the hoary marmot, and it's much like a groundhog.
Marmots aren't even quite as big as the groundhogs they have back east. Groundhogs are about the size of a collie dog back there.
Oh, come on.
In Pennsylvania.
That's awesome.
I've seen them.
The size of the biggest fish I ever caught, actually, with trilene.
Yeah.
Use the groundhogs for fish bait.
Well, you can actually.
You could use them to catch sharks. You need some. You can catch way bigger fish. Catch marlins and sharks. If they're the size of collies, then yes.
Actually, back home we have the muskie, which can get to be 60, 70 pounds. It's a very large fish with teeth that lives in the Merc, and it's always been a long-standing joke when someone has kittens, like, "Oh, what are you going to do with them kittens?" Well, just ask it. You got a plan for them kittens? Yeah, okay. That's kind of the joke back home because the idea is that you're gonna use the kittens as bait, but you literally can, because not that I've ever condoned that or would do that. I love kittens. I love cats. But
nice backpedal.
What I've seen is a muskie taking out a bullfrog and a muskie taking out a duck, just like boom, like a barracuda hit something, right? Like, so I mean. That's the reality of it. Is that's the kind of thing that muskies eat. Musk rats is what muskies eat. The musk lunge. Who's got more on?
I actually ran
groundhogs.
I actually ran over a bunny rabbit earlier today. Usually they make their way out the way. I've seen probably hundreds.
Did it see it shadow in your headlights?
I guess not. Usually they hop out the way, and I try to avoid it. Like, I've seen hundreds of bunnies cross the street in front of me, and they're always pretty quick and get out of the way and don't get ran over.
Assumed, and you hit the gas, thinking you had time.
Well, I tried swerving a little bit, and then it hopped right, and I think it was my left rear tire, and I looked back.
My God.
And it was, at least it was quick, though. It wasn't like a partially injured rabbit, partially
Animals were
away.
harmed in the making of this show this week.
It was squished.
They invented some technology to help with that, Pete.
I kind of felt bad.
So your car has this built-in technology now. At least if it's a modern car, a new one, if it's from the last couple of years, and it's right in the middle of the steering wheel, and what you do is you push it, and it honks. And
shut up.
No, but you So you think I'm being obnoxious, but you wouldn't believe this because what we have here in the mountains is these flocks of these little birds, and they just hang out in the roads, picking at the little gravel and dust. And you can find it, and because you always expect birds to move, and these guys always wait to the last second, and you end up killing like 3, 4, 5. And while I didn't have a vehicle, I had to take time to rise to town with people multiple times, going to town with people who weren't me driving, and they're like swerving around the road trying to avoid these little birds, and I'm like, lay on the horn. And
Well,
then
bunnies
so
usually are just afraid of the
eventually-
lights and see the car, so it's like the horn's not even usually necessary with bunnies. They're usually smart enough. So yeah, I know how to use the car horn.
I don't
See,
think
I
they're that
thought you were
smart. They
gonna
don't predict the weather.
See, I thought you were going to go in a totally different direction with that when you said that, you lay on the horn, but then you said you don't have a vehicle. So my first thought was that you're just running into crowds of birds and stepping on them.
No. I was
Vehicle, so if
taking
you're gonna
rides to
squish
town
'em-
with other human beings, and they were driving, and I was instructing them halfway through the drive on how to stop killing all the little birds. And every one of them was like, "Oh wow, it works." I was like, "Yeah, for the rest of your life, you won't be running over those little birds in the road."
Yeah.
And like that, there's just these tiny little things. They're not like the
Quail?
road chickens, which you could honk at, and
Do you mean quail?
they'll hear it after they're dead.
Grouse?
That's like their brain moves so slow that they don't understand that they're hearing a horn or seeing a vehicle coming at it until it's dead.
Are you talking about quail? or
Road chickens are
grouse?
stupid.
No, I mean.
No, we don't have
you
quail
said-
here. We got grouse, spruce grouse and things like that.
Bruce
Yes.
grouse is good food, isn't it? Oh yeah.
No, it's gamey. It's got that sprucey taste. It's,
Do you taste?
you know, and you don't want it. You don't want to eat the ground. You don't want to eat the grouse that have red eyes. If you do, you want to cover them in salt
Oh yeah.
the night. Take them out of the fridge and then batter them up the next day.
Why,
Rub the salt off.
What's with the red eyes? Why does that affect the flavor? Are they spicy?
Well, because those ones are the ones that like to eat a lot of
Radioactive?
spruce needles
They
and stuff.
spruce needles, yeah.
So if
And
you're
that's
eating
what
a
makes
fruit
it
that
bitter.
tastes like a tree. It's
Bruce
awful.
needles.
Ew.
You're like, why is it gamey tasting? Because it eats spruce needles.
It's so disappointing. They should at least be spicy or radioactive or something. If their eyeballs are going to be red, I want superpowers or, my life.
No, they
got
don't have to be spicy.
baldness.
We have pepper. Animals don't have to be naturally spicy.
If their eyes are red, that's an
To
indicator
encourage,
of hotness. They need to be hot, buffalo style, right
No,
out the
usually
feathers.
usually it's an indication of being on illicit drugs or something. But
Just like how chocolate milk comes from the brown cows, right?
it's true.
Oh boy.
Yeah, who's got more on how stupid groundhogs are? Groundhogs know nothing about the weather. I'm telling you this.
That's right.
And every time someone says something about groundhogs and Groundhog Day and weather, I think they're a stupid person too.
Well, I usually see marmots in April around here, just as the snow's starting to go away, and they come out on the edge of the pavement and sit there to warm up, and then you have a trouble running into them. It's like, the only thing they can think about is that this is a nice warm spot to lay on this black pavement. They don't think about the fact that a car might come along and whop their head off.
It doesn't make any sense to them that anything could be just driving down the road, smashing everything in its way.
Yeah.
There's no reference point in their simple brains for what's
Yeah.
about to happen. So therefore, I don't think that groundhogs know very much about predicting weather.
Yes, on February 7th, solar winter ends. It's not to do with the weather, it's the length of daylight. February 7th at the end of solar winter. Then March 1st, meteorological winter ends. March 20th, astronomical winter ends.
That's right. We are actually getting through the depths of it or pretty quickly,
6
aren't
more
we?
weeks.
And February being a short month,
Next year, there's an extra day in February next year because the leap year is next year. And the Olympics in Paris, France in 2024 in the same year.
Yeah.
leaping.
To the Olympics.
What also happens in 2024, Frankie?
And see, whoever becomes their leader in the United States, it's going to be a race between all those guys.
What happens on April 9th, I should say, 2024?
2024. Monday, April 8th, 2024. You'll be in Sydney, Nova
8th.
Scotia. Total Solar Eclipse, Sydney, Nova Scotia. Brandon will be down. Joey will be down. Amy will be down. Joe Stover, Trey Campbell, Roger Wildchild, Jason Marshall, we don't cookies. Base Guy Show, Robinson Show, Gary and Dino Show, and all those guys.
I don't know how after this many times of us talking about it, I could have said the 9th.
And
I
the
would've said
Content
the
Media guys are coming down on Monday, April 8th, 2024 for Total Solar Eclipse, Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Do you think we should get all the different shows together and have like some kind of a battle to see who's the greatest podcast / radio show amongst all the Frankie's friends who are coming to see the solar eclipse?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'll be serious. You know, Gary and Dino will be pretty tough guys to take on. Like, I don't know if any of you guys are up to those guys could probably kick some of your asses. Like,
boy.
especially you, Brandon.
Probably not.
I don't know about Imogen, maybe.
I think
But,
I think our Motley crew could take on Gary and Dino like some peanuts.
No way. They have a way
I've been on
bigger.
Gary and Dino enough to say that.
They watch fighting. That's what they do on their show.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, what do we got? We talk about the weather. Well, they're talking about fighting.
Fighting. Yeah.
You know,
And
and being funnier than we are
And
too.
there's another show coming down. It's Compound Media from New York City. They're coming to Sydney, Nova Scotia on Monday, April 8th, 2024. First Total Solar Eclipse as well.
Now, them we might be able to beat up.
Oh, yeah.
But hopefully we get a bye and somehow avoid Gary and Dino to the final round of the fight. But mark my word, there's going to be a big battle between all the podcasts that Frankie's on next year when we all get together in Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Do we fight with our microphones?
Just a question for the panel. Who all has seen a solar eclipse before?
Podcast.
I have never seen one. Actually seen partial solar eclipse a couple times, but not a full.
Mhm.
Total, not a total one. A lot of
You should have
partial.
opened both of your eyes then, man. He's sitting there with one eye. He's like, it's a partial eclipse.
I use I have I used a welder's helmet so I can block out the sun rays and look through
Right.
the helmet and see partially the eclipse.
We
So I
did
don't-
that in school in 1980, and I did it again at, I forget when it was, in the early 90s one time.
Yeah.
We had a kid that looked like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead who was like different in our high school, and then the next day after the big eclipse, he had a bunch of bandages all around his head, and apparently, what happened to Beavis? So he looked at the sun during the
Oh, yeah.
eclipse. Yeah, so, and you know, when you're in grade 10, that's really funny. It's the guy who looks like
now, man.
Beavis
It's
is
funny
gutting
now.
out. He's now got his head wrapped in a humongous bandage.
Oh boy.
That's 1993. It was good times.
1993.
There's a song called Speech Cobras where the beginning of the song is talks about looking into the sun as a child and having your eyes wrapped in bandages for a few days. Army of the Pharaohs or
So
Jedi
that guy-
Mind Tricks. I forget which one is a good song.
Do you think the songwriter experienced that, or maybe he went to the same school as I did?
Don't
and saw
think so.
Beavis?
And that part of the song is actually a sample from some sort of like psychology session or something. So they sample some audio at the beginning of the song, and then the song actually starts. The artists in the song are not the ones that actually say that part.
Maybe that's what we're lacking. Is a psychologist to prove that
They're
groundhogs are
sampling-
not intelligent enough to predict the weather.
Hmm.
Well, maybe you're mentioning how they weren't even aware of cars on the road and stuff. Maybe they're just more in tune with nature than we are. That's why they don't even realize
Dude.
that cars exist because they're in some
Dude, nature is a car driving
prehistoric
your
state
head.
of mind.
Nature
they're
is
just
not
One with
separate.
nature.
No, nature is everything happening around you. That includes a
that's
car
true.
driving
Everything
you over.
That technically is true. Everything is an extension of nature, including technology, because there was a progress of nature in some way or another that caused humans to develop, and then
Can you
humans did
imagine?
this and that.
I'm so in tune
Everything
with
is a
nature, I
derivative of
can't see my
nature, but
computer.
still,
I'm so in tune
I
with
don't know.
nature. It's dark in here, and I see stars.
See stars. Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm really in tune with nature,
All
boys.
I know is
Did
you're
somebody hit
evoking
you
the
over the head
spirit
with
of
a
the
natural
groundhog.
stick?
That has happened. Yep. I have
I
seen
found it
stars
out.
that
The
way.
fastest
One time,
highway in Western Hemisphere is Texas State Highway, 130 with 85-mile-per-hour speed limit. That's American. That's 140-kilometer-per-hour speed limit in metric. That's 85 in infrared. That's the fastest highway in Western Hemisphere.
it's not fast enough, and I say we don't rest until Autobahn rules are worldwide, man.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. We have a
It's
75 mile per hour speed limits in some areas here, Frankie. I'm
just
in a 65
everywhere.
mile per hour one right now, but there are some places that are 75 miles per hour out here. And honestly, they're pretty lax on enforcing traffic laws if you're not doing anything too flagrant out here. So some people do drive like it's the Autobahn.
That means if you go 1 kilometer above 160 kilometers per hour, game over.
Right.
Dun, dun,
Game
dun.
over.
Frankie, what would happen if you were going 1 million, billion, trillion, zillion miles per hour on the
Well,
Texas highway?
There we go.
You would just disappear?
Disappear.
That's Frankie's answer. What would happen if you're going 1,999,999,999,999,999,999 miles per hour, Frankie, on the Texas highway?
There we go.
Poof. Yes, worldwide
Great game.
Autobahn. We should all protest and demand this. And freedom convoys at the U.S. border. Worldwide Autobahn. They're restricting our freedom. And then you can just imagine a few weeks later, Brandon's going down the range road there and the gravel at 220 kilometers an hour. Again, yes, freedom!
Woo!
Somebody can even go 535 kilometers per hour on range road.
And
Right.
What
Most
would
of the
happen if you're going that fast and you hit a groundhog?
I'll go flipping in the air and do a
that's
cartwheel. That's what I'll do. Yeah.
Just imagine a baseball player throw a fastball going 1,000 miles per hour.
I saw an antelope get hit by a transport, Saskatchewan, Manitoba border area, and the large transport. I mean, it almost evaporated the antelope. Animals were hurt in the making of the show this week, friends.
Yeah.
This is terrible college radio. We've just been talking about animal atrocities and how stupid groundhogs are all episode. But
Oh, man.
we're not your normal radio
Rest
show,
in
are we,
peace.
Frankie? How does everyone find Frankie McDonald in the world of the internet? Does anyone know?
My Twitter's at Frankie McD. My Facebook is Frankie MacDonald. My Instagram is Frankie MacD984. My TikTok is FrankDown984. My Clapper is FrankDown984. My Twitch is FrankDown984. My Snapchat is Frankie MACDON. And my LinkedIn is Frankie Down. And my YouTube channel is Stocks Wolves. Cowboy Frankie Down Bobblehead coming out in May 2023. People can pre-order Cowboy Frankie Down Bobblehead right now on National Bobblehead Hall of Fame website.
Is that snow landing on you, Frankie? That's not
It's
dandruff, is
snow.
it? That is snow. And in Sydney, Nova Scotia, I'm Joe here in Wells, British Columbia. You're listening to the Comedy Meteorology Report on CFR 88.7 FM, CKUW 95.9 FM, and this has been the low-tech version because I'm using someone else's computer. That's why you need to support us. You could also go on to Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude on YouTube and subscribe and watch the video versions of the show where you can see are really wonderful, as you can tell by the sounds of our voices, that we are a beautiful bunch. And I really do believe that. We are completely unique and wonderful. We're awesome. Okay, so thanks, Hilding. Thanks, Brandon Hauk. Thanks, Cookie Bailey. Thanks, Peter Galanko. And of course, Frankie McDonald. Thank you. You're the man. All right, best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you. You can pre-order the Cowboy Frank Down Bobblehead on National Bobblehead Hall of Fame right now. Cowboy Frank Down
Will
Bobblehead.
do.
That Frankie got the cue. Best of luck to you. You're supposed to say. You're listening to the Comedy Meteorology, but he's the best. He's like, no, order your Frankie bobble. And actually, that's pretty important. Frankie Cowboy hat bobbleheads coming out in May, and you're gonna want to have one. Frankie McDonald's got his own bobblehead. You got your own bobblehead? No, no. I mean, some
And
of
if
us
you
look
don't
like
own
we
a
have
Frankie
bobbleheads.
McDonald bobblehead, 70 years of bad luck.
That's true. Yeah, 7 years of bad luck, especially if you don't have one and you walk underneath a ladder. That's the show for this week, everybody. I'm Joey Only. See you next time. Thanks. Well, isn't that special? I have to go pee so bad right now.
Oh boy.
Well, that's good news.
So talk amongst yourselves then, you know.
Okay.
Once I held my pee for 14 hours straight the other
Oh.
day.
14
No
hours.
lie.
Good grief.
Good
Yeah,
job.
yeah, because I can do a maximum of 12 hours on lift, so I'll sign off and then sign back on sometimes.
Well, speaking of which, in China,
I'm
there,
like headed back towards there, but a full 14-hour shift, 0 breaks. Zero
Wow.
breaks. I stopped, got out, put gas in my car, but didn't even go take a piss for 14 hours. So it was pretty good.
well, in China, someone stuck something really hot in my dish there. So I chugged like 5-6 bottles of water because it was really, really hot. And there was a 4-hour bus ride back to Beijing. And that was very uncomfortable, that bus ride. And I think I ran into the supermarket there.
Oh, geez. Oh, no, I don't doubt it. One time in Hong Kong, I ordered a regular coffee and it was a Starbucks and they got confused. Like, I know in different countries, like Americano is like just regular coffee to us in the Western Hemisphere. Though a lot of people are like, it's cappuccino, this, that, or the other, but there was something lost in translation, and they gave me a large cup of pure espresso, and I almost had a heart attack from that much caffeine. I felt like I was going to pass out.
I like coming
Awesome.
back to this kind of a story.
I was like, do I need to call the emergency services? Like, it was bad.
Yeah.
I have a
Man,
question. What happens when a Sasquatch catches a groundhog?
Eats them?
That's what I wonder.
oh yeah, so there's no punchline. We got to make a punchline.
We're gonna make a punchline.
Hogs, you eat them. That's what the Sasquatches say.
Maybe that's where Sasquatches come from. Maybe they're just like mutant Ninja
Hater.
Turtle groundhogs.
Groundhogs and taters, you eat them.
Yeah.
Like
Eat
all
those
big-
Sasquatch. Eat those groundhogs up. Aye.
Yeah, you didn't know, but yeah, Sasquatches actually sound kind of more like Skeeter in the Deets or something, you know?
Eat her in the deets.
Now I gotta pee. Damn you, Joey.
Dude, you should have seen it. It was like an Adam Sandler sketch.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
It was
I
bad.
did that out in Breckenridge. I did some snow drawings.
I like
some
added
snow
so
drawings.
much liquid that the toilet flushed itself.
Oh yeah. Listen to that waterfall. Oh,
Man.
I
that
am
was-
pulling up to the Denver airport, so I cannot think about that right now because it's going to be a while.
What? You're not allowed to pee at airports these days?
I don't go
Well,
into the
obviously
airport.
not. It's a sure sign of terrorism.
Oh, you just park
I-
behind some
I-
cars in the parking lot. You're a man.
gotta
Freaking
write your
crying
name
out
in
loud.
the snow.
I know I have to get a parking pass to go to the regular parking lot. I go to the Uber Lyft satellite lot, and then they send me directly to the East or West terminal to the passenger pickup area. And I cannot pee in the passenger pickup area. Believe me, it's families and security. I'll get a charge if I try to pee it over there. I'll be
That's
Pee
put
in
on
a
the list.
bottle and then
Security
throw
catch,
it
yeah.
at them. They won't
That
even
is
know
the
what
way
it
of the
is.
road. That's the way
They
of the
won't even know what
road.
it is till later.
That's the way of the road. If you ever watch Trailer Park Boys, the way of the road, boys. The way of the road.
We
Road.
invented that show, man.
I know y'all did. I'm just saying. That's the way of the road.
But if you gotta go, you gotta go. You know, that's That's the saying here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will admit that is the one reason I would never not want to be a man. If you like reincarnated me 1,000 times, I can think of every other reason why it'd be nice to try being a woman for a while until I think about that. And it's like,
What?
how liberally I've just pissed all over the world. The world's been my friggin' urinal, man. It's
Yeah.
I work in the wilderness fighting fires, and it's hot and it's sweaty. And you know how many times I've pissed on fires in a forest fire? Literally, I was standing there hosing a section. I'm like, well, I might as well use this piss. And I just piss on a hot spot.
Even
That
nature
is
is the
awesome.
best. It's
You
the
know,
best when you got a view and you're taking a piss. There's nothing more, that's one of the best feels when you got like a nice mountain view. You can't see anybody for miles and miles. That's the most relaxing pee there is.
Oh yeah.
There's,
and your
there's
fellow
so many
firefighters
reasons
come
why.
by and they ask you, "Why does it smell like asparagus over here?"
So many reasons why men enjoy privilege. But when I think about that alone, just how easy it is for me to piss wherever I go. And how, maybe it'd be cool for, if try being a woman for a week or two, and that's cool. I sit down all the time. Challenge yourself to, for now on, I'm going to sit down. Some houses have rules like that, no toilet seat up because guys are just pissed everywhere for too long, irresponsible pissers. And you know how that is. Sometimes it just goes wherever it wants. You're like, it's aiming at there, and it's shot that way. It's like, it happens, right? So then some houses
You're
are
asked to.
you have to pit on our toilet. And you're like, we do not let men stand and pee. And I'm like, that's cool. So you do that for like 4 or 5 days, and you're sitting, and you're like, that's fine. But imagine that's your whole life. You have
Sometimes
to
I
sit
just,
down,
sometimes
pull your hands down to your knees, and it's -30, and I'm walking in the bush, and I just unzip a thing, and I take a leak, and it's done. And I just, that's cold. I don't have to stick my ass out.
I live solo at my apartment, so sometimes I'll sit down anyway, just because I'll be like, I just don't feel like standing. I don't even think about it in those terms that he
That is such an
described.
American
But
answer. I love that. Sometimes I sit when I pee, I just don't feel like standing. This America.
I'm still
love that, man.
standing. There's a song
I
that goes
check
like,
a few
"I'm still
things on my
standing."
phone.
That's awesome. I hit a new pinnacle of laziness lately. I sit down to pee. In fact, I don't even get up when I'm done. I just wait till I have to go again. It's gonna come eventually.
I don't call it. I don't call it laziness. I call it conservation.
I don't know what you're calling it. We're losing you, man.
Oh boy.
But why would I leave the
We're calling
bathroom?
it
I got a big screen TV in there. I mean, the toilet seat's got legs that kick out.
That's
got a drink holder.
Term for instead of calling yourself lazy, it's just like, no, I'm an energy conservationist.
Energy
conservationist.
That's pretty good. That could
Yeah, I'm not lazy. I'm an energy conservationist.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. Sit on the toilet.
There you go.
All these things.
And then you
can
won't
do.
drop your phone in
I'm
the
about
toilet, right? When you're sitting.
I'm
That's
about
true.
to pass the Denver Airport kind of looks a little bit the big old horse statue. They light up the you wouldn't be able to see it if I reversed the camera, but there's a giant blue Bronco statue, and they light up the eyes red at nighttime, and it kind of looks creepy, to be honest. I'm driving past it right now. There's all sorts of
that's kind of
conspiracies
side
about
footage.
the Denver Airport.
You can.
Yeah.
That's the kind of side footage you can get during the week, right? And send to me in clips that we can actually throw into the show. We want to see your. It's got red eyes because it's been eating spruce needles and it's on drugs.
They light up that Broncos stallion, whatever it is, and the eyes glow.
Did it see its shadow? with its glowing eyes.
I
If
guess
anyone's
it-
gonna know the weather,
maybe
you
early
think
in
it'd
the
be
day.
cows. You know, it's like
It's-
Punxsutawney Phil's been replaced
horse,
by
horse.
a cow.
Anyway, I am pulling up to the first commercial vehicle stop. Well, I could pull it here anyway, but I gotta switch over to the Lyft app. So
Yeah, and
talk
what
to
you
y'all
do,
later.
Pete, is you open your. Good to see you. And what you do is you open your driver's side door and stand there as if you're looking at something. And he doesn't want to know how to pee. In Canada, you got to know this stuff.
Well, I know how to do that in less busy areas, but like this area, like this lot is the satellite lot, and then the pickup area. Denver Airport is a huge complex. You're not
There you
getting
go.
any privacy around here.
You pick a
I
back
understand how
parking
you
lot.
do it.
Especially
Yeah, there's not. It's Denver Airport's too busy for all that.
We know how you do it up there in Canada, but down here in Denver, it's
Yes,
different.
unfortunately.
It's an international airport. I guess, right?
Anywhere you go, you'll yeah. Well, I'm
And Pete's dying, man. Someone call help. He's at the international airport in Denver.
Ridge, or if I was out, it's like one of the busiest. And once
He's
I
caught
gotta
in a
turn on
temporal
as
vortex.
soon as I pull it parking lot right here, I got to pull up here. So see, there's a whole bunch of other cars that's going to tell me which terminal I have to go to. I can't even stay stopped here if I'm logged in, and they
Park in one of
assign
those
me another
spots
one.
there and pretend that you're not there.
Well, I can, but then I might miss my next one that I'm assigned.
Well,
And time is money, gas is money.
yeah, but you gotta
So
take a leak before
I'll
you
pee
take people
later.
somewhere.
I'll
You
pee later, ask questions last. That's how
Man.
these. I'll pee
It's like
later, ask
Between being
whatever.
on the radio in multiple Canadian cities and being a Lyft driver, you can take time to reward yourself with the urination.
Well, I'm just saying there are people next to me and driving past me, and now I just got assigned a ride
Well,
at the
they
East
weren't-
Terminal.
They weren't on the radio. They don't deserve to pee.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna argue with that, but
I guess that's winding down. It's just the three of us left, and I haven't eaten anything. I should put food in something like an oven.
an oven.
So
Oh
that
yeah,
so that I can put it in something else later. Me.
yeah.
Well, considering I didn't think we'd be able to make a show, we did all right.
I
Yeah,
think
we
we
got
did pretty
something.
good. Oh, Pete's back.
and without a doubt, well, I'm headed to the East Terminal now because that's where Lyft assigned me, and without a doubt, they're gonna assign once I get to the East Terminal, they're gonna assign me a passenger on the West Terminal, which is fine. It connects right back up, but I wonder if they just do that because it's a few more minutes away, and if they charge the passenger extra for that, because I swear, without fail, it'll have me go either to the East Terminal or West Terminal. And then once I get to the East Terminal, it'll assign me a West Terminal passenger. Once I get to the West Terminal, it'll assign me a East Terminal passenger. Like at this point, when it assigns me East Terminal, I'm thinking of just starting to just go to the West Terminal instead. Just do the
Dude.
opposite of what tells me.
Pick up some people when you're on the show next time. Do a lift and then be like,
Well, I respect people's privacy.
It'll
Some
be
people,
like-
you don't know what mood people are in. I dropped some people off. One of my first rides of the day, I was dropping people off at a funeral. So I doubt those people would want to be on a radio show.
maybe it's the perfect
a
time to be on a
funeral,
comedy show. Maybe that's what they actually
they were
need. A
going
little
to
bit of joy
wait.
in their life.
No, I definitely don't think that they were looking to be a cameo on anything at that time. So you
I'm just
never
saying,
know.
you start the show, not
Some people are
driving.
shy too. Some people are shy.
Yes, fair enough, right? But
Yeah.
you start the show not driving, and then after you report, you go and try to find somebody who's actually interested in being on the show. And if you get a ride who's like, yeah, I'll come on.
It'll be like
Last
that
15
show
minutes.
but
Cash
If I
Cab.
get somebody who doesn't want to be on, then I'll miss the show then.
No, you only missed the last 15 minutes.
Maybe I'll might
You
try
start,
it sometime. I've
start the show
told a lot of
parked.
people about it. I told somebody earlier last week and they said they'd check it out because they thought it was cool.
That's why we had 5 views this week.
I've told a few people this week. spot views. So I probably sent a few of those over. Anyway.
Nice. Yeah, shout out to
the regular non-commercial lane route. There's something going on over there. It is backed up. Fortunately, I do not have to drive in the regular one. I go right through here through the commercial vehicle access lane. Commercial vehicles only.
shout out to all 3 of our fans out there and all 7 of my subscribers on this channel. Thanks very much, everybody, for being part of our. This is like the highlight of my week. One of my friends was saying, "You isolate yourself too much." It's like, yeah, but I'm kind of happy. But there's also like this other thing where that every Thursday I get to talk to a wide range of bizarre friends.
Oh, they did assign me at the East Terminal pickup this time. Deborah. I got to pick up Deborah now, guys. Sorry.
Dude, I would love to have seen
The
Deborah.
other thing about the airport pickups that's kind of BS about Lyft is until I actually get to Deborah and swipe to pick up, I have no clue how much they're going to pay me or what distance she's going or what direction she's going. That's the one thing about the good part is like I always know I'm going to get assigned a ride if I go here, so I'm going to get something.
Debbie's going to do Denver, and we have
2
no
hours
idea what she's got in store.
I would go
for
to
Pete.
2 hours any direction, and I have no clue what they're going to pay me for it until I actually the tour. So I got to leave and do this.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Debbie's doing Denver, and she's got Pete on the hook, and he's just got to do whatever she says.
As I said, kind of like Cash Cab, where you go in the cab. I think I've seen that show before, but I don't know how the show still go. But it lights up, ding, 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 and then you're
win,
on
like,
the Cash Cab. Then they ask you
win
3
$50
questions and you win cash.
Yeah, it's like it's not like a whole lot of cash.
Yeah, here's $10.
Yeah, but considering you thought you're gonna spend $20 on a cab ride, you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I just happen to know the answer to, who about Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make some food. I'm fucking starving.
All right, I better go to bed.
Yeah.
Well, you have a
gotta
good
be on the
week.
radio.